Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Elder Signs expansion from the Arkham Horror Files series of games. This is Omens of the Pharaoh. So this is an Egyptian, clearly based one. So we'll jump right into that. So like the other expansions, it adds a brand new set of adventure cards, the Egyptian adventure cards, to play. We also add some extra new things. Add some relics. And of course, you have some new ally cards, but it's just the odd one because it doesn't add any new items or anything like that. Just add some relic cards, but didn't add any of the other stuff, which is kind of interesting. So let's look at our book. Well, we still get all the investigators and all this. You can use the relics in other modes if you'd like. Side is neat as well. But it's like the Omen to the Deep one. It's gonna have a stage 2 indicator, so it has 2 different decks. But this one works differently because that's what also makes this game really fun. It's because the base game you just had one deck no matter what. Arkham, it brought it to like split up the decks. You kind of just search around and pick from different decks on what you could do. Omen to the Deep added it so you had 2 different decks, but you had one, and then you completed it and you switched to a different one. This one you flip back and forth between them, so it's really interesting. We also have an expedition card, and we'll get to all those. We have some more masked monsters from the beginning. We have some hidden chambers, dark pharaohs. So let's hop into her and see what we got. So we have this big giant expedition card. This is not your entrance card. This is a special mode cards. It gives you it's kind of like the entrance because it gives you stuff to buy and do. So you get little tokens you're gonna get throughout the game, and I just dumped all my tokens all over the floor. We're gonna get little expedition tokens, and of course then we're also gonna have our character tokens as long as I have them out, and we'll get to the monsters when we get there. But yeah, you're gonna do various things to earn these tokens. You put them on to cover up a spot, and then when you're there, you can use one of these effects as long as it's done. So it's like this one: do not return mass monsters to the cup. When they claim, they now have a victory of 2. So then some of these over here all have discarding effects. This one has, at midnight, one investigator retains one side. Discard your token when the ancient one awakes. So they're going to have some other different ones that you have to discard, so you can keep using these over and over, or you can get them as permanent effects. It's just kind of a neat little thing. And then the other side is the exhibit. So this you put in play if you're playing a different scenario. So it doesn't matter if you're playing Arkham City or the base game. But this is what lets you use the relics in the game. Because it says gain 3 trophies, you can gain a relic. The entrance has the following options in addition to its normal cost listing, so it adds that. Like there's have add all masked monsters to the monster cup, so it lets you add all the monsters everywhere. At midnight, each investigator that has a relic rolls 1 green die, then each investigator that rolled a terror or peril result puts a Dark Pharaoh special adventure into play. All 4 Dark Pharaoh special adventures are already in play when one would be added Doom token until the ancient one awakens. So it's kind of neat. Let's do some new stuff. Then let's look at the entrance card. So we start with Cairo here. It says, if an investigator is on the Cairo at the start of his clock phase, he or she may pay the listed cost to choose any investigator to do one of the following. 6, gain expedition token. 5, gain an ally. 4, gain a unique item or spell. 3 is a common item. 2 is 2 sanity or 2 stamina. Or you can advance the clock to flip this card. So you're going to play is you're going to have a deck of these cards. Are going to say Cairo on them. So we're going to have like Cairo Streets, a bunch of ones like that, the Bazaar, the Temple District, Ill Omens, Outskirts. So these are all Cairo cards. So let's just go through them really quick. So then what you can do though is you can pay that to flip this and you go to the other deck. And then you're constantly going to flip between the decks. So it's kind of an interesting little mechanic. So here we're going to have some Sandstorms. Now you're going to get a little Expedition token. Plague Unleashed. River of Fear. Sudden Storm. Unearthed Creature. Herod Flight. Ooh, I don't actually know what that symbol there means. Off the top, the little Eye of Horus, I believe it is. Oh, it's a relic symbol. Okay, I forgot to go through this. So, new Mythos cards, not to be combined with the other ones. Yep, we get there. Mythos Expert variant. Kelvin Wright just take him out because he's in the deck. The split penalties and rewards. So if you if you don't have the unknown expansion, you won't have the blessed and cursed stuff. Or if you do not play the gates or the expansion deep, you don't have skill cards. So you might not be able to use those effects unless you have those sets. But then there's all the other symbols: healing, respite, clock, expeditious, remove monster, lost items, elder sign. So that I is for gaining a relic or losing a relic. Is what that was. I know I missed a page in the book. Alright, let's jump back in here. Dark Medicine. Locust over Cairo. Skull and Shadow. Thief's Regret. Lost in Thought. Book of the Dead. Cursed Figurine. So that's going to have your cursed symbol down here. So if you don't have that set, you can only use these two. Those you get an option. Temple Courtyard. And the same thing, blessed or an item. Allying item sometimes could be better than blessed, but blessed does give you an extra die to use. So it's kind of helpful too. Or it could get rid of a curse. Sacred Rites. Trouble in the Bazaar. Brazen Stalker. Corner Gift Shop. There's one that removes a relic. The Golden Scarab. Seedy Wares. Meeting of the Minds. Planning the Gig. Ooh. Thought I could fit one more card on there. Chance Encounter. Exhibit Storage. And Uneasy Journey. So, Cairo seems like it's all about, like, prepping for the exhibit, prepping to go under, do an archaeological dig. That's what it really seems like the point of that is. And then, if we flip that over, we get Dasher. Same thing, it does that. So you get 6 trophies, you can gain a relic. 3 trophies, you gain a clue. 1 trophy, discard a top card of either adventure deck, advance to the clock. So Cairo is where you're going to go and gain your expedition tokens, gain allies and items, and heal. But then if you need to go out into the desert, that's where you can find relics, clues, and you can kind of manipulate the deck a little bit more. So it's kind of back and forth on what you think you need to be doing. But you're also going to want to consult your team, because if you discard something that they know they can beat, that might not be good. So we have Dunes. These also have their special effects on there. The Time Lost Catacombs. Under the Pyramids, the Inner Sanctum, Voice of the Messenger, and Chamber of Sacrifice. And then we're also going to have 4 Dark Pharaoh cards. Oh, sorry. We have 4 Dark Pharaoh cards and 4 Chamber cards. We'll look at those later or next. But let's jump through these quick. The Black Wing. And our Otherworld cards, it looks like we haven't had any of those on the other one, so there's another reason to flip them over. Eclipse, plus a lot more Elder Signs. The Bloody Tongue. Opening the Eye. The Darkest Night. Lost Explorer. Stricken from History. Too Late. Aspects of Nyarlathotep. Stone of Souls. One by One. Unsettling Mural. Under the Lid. A Profane Ward. Oh, I didn't realize that my picture was being cut off. Let me zoom out just a little bit. In Cold Blood. Final Mistake. Lost. The Priest. Visions of Sebek. Untouched Vault. Sandswept Ruins. Desert Jewel. Something's Out There. Eldritch Gate. And Desert Oasis. Gets to heal up pretty well. Yeah, so that's definitely a neat thing to get to go back and forth. Versus Arkham, where you're just everything's always active, or the deep set, where you can play it on the deck 1 as long as you want until either it forces you to change it because you have too many you meet the conditions, or you choose to change it, but then you're stuck on the harder mode. This means you kind of flip around. So there are 4 chambers that you can unlock, which just do extra things. The Chamber of the Gate. Discard 1 relic to put 1 Otherworld adventure into play. They don't have trophy costs. Chamber of the Sun. Discard 1 relic to move 1 Doom token from the Doom track. Chamber of Sacrifice. Discard 1 relic and become devoured to discard each monster in play. And Chamber of Midnight. Discard 1 relic to turn the clock back to XII 12 without striking midnight. And then the chambers are... So, hidden chambers are special adventures that represent long-lost burial chambers located between the pyramids of Dasher. Hidden chambers, special adventures are part of Stage 2 adventure deck and are shuffled with the rest. Each hidden chamber has a special advantage and can easily be identified by a single task on the lower part of the card. In order to move to a chamber, an investor must first succeed by unlocking it by completing the task on its back. To do this before moving to a special roll, it must be made. The standard guide pool can be used to make this. So, that's the other thing I didn't show off. So on the back of these cards, so to move to them, you have to beat the... So you immediately know that they're a chamber card, because they're going to say different chambers on the back, and they have a pyramid on the top versus a difficulty symbol. Each one has a different picture on the back. But you have to complete this to even go to that area. So they can actually sit there for a while and block your options. But that's definitely neat. Then we have the Dark Pharaoh cards, which are going to have all the same backs. You don't know which one's which. At midnight, add 1 Doom to the token, but they'll have special symbols too. So we have Form of the Beast, Evil Unleashed, Form of the Serpent, and Pharaoh's Curse. and the Dark Pharaoh Special Adventures. Dark Pharaoh Special represent evil machinations of the Dark Pharaoh's attempts to destroy your expedition. Dark Pharaoh Special cannot be taken as trophies. When a Dark Pharaoh Special Adventure is successfully resolved, it is discarded into a special discard pile next to the other Dark Pharaohs. Once all 4 have been drawn or discarded, another needs to be drawn, shuffle the deck, and draw from a new pile. Yeah. So it's just markers such as monsters cannot be placed on them. They're just special cards that come out, like certain things might call for you to draw one. You play one, you don't know which one you're going to get. Little extra wrinkle and everything. Alright, let's look at our Intrepid Investigators. So we have the aforementioned Kelvin Wright, who in the Arkham set, I believe, is Arkham or Unknown. I don't remember which one it is, but he's an ally card. So if you're playing this, you should take him out of the deck. Any other time, I suppose you could leave him in. That's really up to you. A friend indeed. At the start of his turn, Kelvin may spend any amount of sanity, anger, or stamina to cause another investigator to regain that much. So, interesting way to heal. Safina Rasu, Mystic, the Painter, Mystic Artistry. Once per day at the start of her turn, Safina may discard 1 common item, 1 unique item, and 1 clue to put another other world into play. Father Mateo, the Priest, Hallowed Ground. Once per day when Mateo moves to an adventure, he may either ignore its entry effect or pay 3 trophy to ignore the effect printed on the back of that adventure card. Agatha Crane, the Parapsychologist. Paranormal Sense. Each time Agatha loses 1 or more sanity, she gains 1 clue. She has a lot of sanity to lose. Preston Fairmont, the Millionaire. Wealthy. Once per turn, when Preston gains a common item or a unique item, he may regain 1 sanity or stamina. Not really sure how owning stuff makes him healthier, but I guess whatever works. Carson Sinclair, the Butler. When Carson spends trophies on the entrance, the cost of each option is reduced by 1. So that could definitely be helpful for getting stuff. And then we have our ancient ones. We have Naral Hotep, who we've seen before. So he's going to add the masked monsters. So now you can use the masked monsters from the base set in this version too, so you can actually add them in, which is really cool. Set aside all masked monsters. If a monster from the cup would appear, a random masked monster appears instead if able. At midnight, add 1 Doom token to the Doom crack for each masked monster in play. If there are none, a monster appears. We have Neferenka, the Dark Pharaoh, who we were talking about earlier. When an investigator moves to a special adventure, he or she loses 1 sanity and 1 stamina. Clues and spells cannot be used on Dark Pharaoh special adventures. Add a Doom token to the Doom crack whenever an investigator fails a Dark Pharaoh special adventure. So yeah, it works really well with his. And here we have Hunter of the Dark, aspect of Nyarlathotep. Each time an investigator claims a monster marker other than a masked monster marker as a trophy, he or she discards that trophy. Then he or she may lose 2 sanity to gain 1 relic. At midnight, add 1 Doom to the token unless an investigator discards 1 relic. So he'll give you 1 and you'll take it right away. Alright, then let's look at our monsters quick. So we have the Messenger. These are all masked monsters. The Dark Demon. And they have their little expansion symbol on there just so you can keep them separate from the rest of them. Teller of the Tales. I don't know why you would. Once you own this, use this with anytime you have to play masked monsters. You can just play them normally if you really want. The Stingless one. Oh boy, 3 of those. That could be really bad. Just the masked monsters aren't worth any points. So they're basically like, they make the game harder. So you still have to fight a masked monster. Which is the man in the yellow mask, the thing in the yellow mask. The Black Wing. Dweller in Darkness. And finally, we have one that's not a mask. This one can be added no matter what. Sand Dweller. Which is a knight icon on it, which is interesting. Alright, so we got the new Mythos deck, which is yellow on the back, just to keep it differentiated from the other ones. And like the other videos, I'm not going to read all the text on all these, because they're just effects. But we have Sinking Sand, so this one it looks like the deep one. You gotta kind of choose which one you want, so you can either take shelter or defy nature. Diamond in the Rough. Incredible Discovery. Curse of the Pharaoh. Meanings of Sebek. Blessing of Set. Bass that takes an interest. Egyptian gods here. The Dead Rise. Cursed Relic. Mummified Corpse. Low on Supplies. Desert Caravan. A Failing Ward. The Dark Pharaoh Rises. A Friendly Warning. An Unusual Scarab. Scorpion Venom. Blazing Heat. Extreme Thirst. Desert Mirage. Assassins. Dig Site Looters. Promise of Power. A Dubious Opportunity. The Faces of Evil. A Renowned Professor. Shifting Catacombs. Sand Dwellers Attack. Thieves in Cairo. And a Plague. So those are our new Mythos cards. Get a few more allies, only 4 of them, but everyone counts. So we're going to get Enrich Weiss. Once per day, you may discard 2 trophies and place 1 sanity on this card to ignore a die lock during your resolution phase. Ooh, that's helpful. Professor Urza Graves. Once per day at the start of your turn, you spend 2 trophies and place 1 stamina to discard a monster or marker on any adventure. Dr. William T. Milson. Once per day at the start of your turn, you may spend 2 trophies and place 1 stamina on this card to gain 1 common item or unique item. And Olivia McBride. Once per day at the start of your turn, spend 2 trophies, place 1 sanity on this card to gain 1 spell or clue. I wonder if you can heal, you can heal sanity or that if it has to be on the investigator or it has to be on the ally. I'm pretty sure it says investigator. It's just kind of odd if they specify. One says put it like stamina, and one says sanity. Like, why would it matter? These are the relic cards. They get a different back. I mean, same border but different picture. And relics are going to be just like the other items, except you get them separately. So they have an Ankh. So you get to re-roll a green die. After you use this relic, re-roll, regain a sanity. Elixir of Life. After you use this relic, regain a stamina. Ancient Text. After you use this relic, gain a clue. Canopic Jar, just a reroll. Sphinx Idol, double reroll. Stone Figure. Wasp Scepter. Homunculus. Ancient Collar. Pharaonic Mask. Jeweled Scarab. If an investigator has the Ornate Scarab relic, investigators may group as a group discard both relics to put 2 Otherworld adventures into play. And then we're going to have the Otherworld Scarab, Ornate Scarab here. She's going to say if the investigator has Jeweled Scarab, investigators may, as a group, discard both to put 2 Otherworld adventures into play. So you discard both to put 2, not discard both to put 4. Then we have the Ancient Crook. If the investigator has an Ancient Flail, you may spend 1 sanity when you use this relic to ignore any yellow lock dies. And Ancient Flail, if you have the Ancient Crook relic, you may spend 1 stamina when you use this relic to ignore any red die locks. Eye of Darkness. An investigator has Eye of Light relic. You may spend 1 trophy instead of discarding this card. And Eye of Light. If the investigator has Eye of Darkness, you may spend 1 trophy instead of discarding this card. So that's actually kind of cool too. So relics are a new type of item. They display a die along with a refresh icon. This icon indicates that relics can be discarded before rolling to add the indicated dice to the die pool, even if those dice have already been removed by a failed roll. This cannot be used to increase the number of dice behind your available components. For example, you cannot use 2 red dice or 7 green dice in a single roll. That's actually kind of neat, because that way if you roll bad and you have one of those artifacts, you just discard that card and then use it to get it back. I thought it was just a reroll, but I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Alright, so that was that expansion. Definitely fun, add some new stuff, interesting mechanics. Yeah, throw the relics in, add that. So you know, if you're playing with everything, you're going to have common items, unique items, skill cards, relic cards, event cards, mythos cards. You have so many cards out. It should be ridiculous. But that is Omen to the Pharaoh. Keep an eye out. Check out the other videos. Keep an eye out for the new expansions if I get them. See you guys later. Bye.